How you all doing? This is Nathaniel Swopes of Swopeset, and today I want to talk to you about Jim Foster, the head Northwestern baseball coach. He was recently fired for abuse allegations, and this comes about 3 days after we heard about Pat Fitzgerald being fired from Northwestern because of hazing allegations. Right now, I'm going to read you an article from Yahoo Sports talking about the situation with Jim Foster. Jim Foster was accused of making inappropriate comments about a female staff member and encouraging players to not receive treatment for their injuries. Northwestern University's fired baseball coach Jim Foster amid allegations of bullying just 3 days after firing long-term football coach Pat Fitzgerald following an investigation into allegations of hazing and abuse. Northwestern University made an announcement that Foster had been relieved of his duties effective immediately. In a statement by the Northwestern athletic director, nothing will ever be more important to Northwestern than providing its students a place that allows them to develop in the classroom, in the community, and in competition at the absolute highest level, and building a culture which allows our staff to thrive. This has been an ongoing situation, and many factors were considered before reaching a resolution. Foster had been the subject of an internal investigation by the university's Human Resource Department ahead of this past season. The investigation allegedly found that Foster engaged in bullying and abusive behavior. The Tribune also reported that the investigation found that Foster alleged made an inappropriate comment regarding a female staff member and spoke negatively about his staff to other staff members. Now again, there were rumors before this that the baseball coach would be let go, and the football coach has already been let go. And there's also a rumor that the athletic director may be let go as well. Now we've seen something similar to this when what happened at Michigan State with Larry Nassar with the gymnastics program, and we've seen with Penn State the situation that happened with a lot of the kids at the camps. We've seen where the football coach was let go. The basketball coach at Michigan State had an issue, but he was not let go. And also the athletic director was let go. Now, the athletic director has made statements that these coaches cannot let these things go on their watch. But the athletic director is also the boss of these coaches. So in a sense, the athletic director also let these things kind of go down under their watch. So for the next couple of days, I would, watch and keep up with to see what's going to happen with the athletic director at Northwestern. Now, like I said, it's been alleged that he will be let go as well, but it's up to the university president. And a lot of these things, like the abusive comments to players, telling players to not get looked at because of injuries, and the hazing, these are things that have went on for years, not at Northwestern, but in sports in general. Like I said, when I went to high school, I went through a hazing thing, being a new student in high school and going through hazing with football, going through hazing with basketball. It was just a thing that we did, and wasn't just a thing that was done with sports. It was a thing that was done in high school. Like I said, when I was a freshman, we was at the pep rally. A lot of the seniors would be screaming, "Go home, freshmen," to all the freshmen, and it was said that they would throw a penny at us. So hazing was just a thing. I don't know if it was all over, but it was definitely a thing here in suburban high schools here in Illinois. Like I said, when I was a senior, a lot of the seniors were saying "Go home, freshmen." A lot of the freshmen was like "Go home, seniors." So they out talked to freshmen, but we've seen younger and younger generations not put up with certain traditions that are unfair. So the hazing, the bullying, a lot of newer generations, not just the athletes, the kids, but the parents. Some of the parents, like around my age or a little bit older, they don't want their kids to go through the same things that they went through. So like when I was younger, and those parents, they were like, "Look, I went through this. You can go through this too." But we see parents nowadays are changing to say, "I don't want my kids to go through the hazing. I don't want my kids to go through that." So again, like a story, when I was in college, in order to get your physical education degree, we had a teacher who taught the water certification class, but she was supposed to certify us to get water certification in order to teach kids how to swim. So she didn't have the certification to certify us. So what she should have done is just grade us on the class and not the ability to get the certification. But we had to pass that class. We had to get the certification in order to get the degree, but we didn't have to pass that class necessarily in order to get that degree. So, I mean, we had to pass the class, but she based that class grade on a swimming test instead of what we did throughout the class, even though she wasn't certified to certify us. So, we had to swim 3 laps, freestyle, a rescue stroke, and I think you had to freestyle again. So a lot of the African American students couldn't swim that well, but they still did well in the class to pass the class. But this lady failed us if we couldn't pass that final swim test. Now that final swim test was only supposed to be to get your water safety certification, but she wasn't certified to certify us. So she would just fail you if you didn't pass that part. Now I talked to the president, and the president didn't do anything about it. But this was an unfair thing that shouldn't have happened. A lot of students should have been able to pass that class and then went to Red Cross to get their water safety certification besides that class. Now, what I'm saying that is a lot of coaches run their programs like they're, kings or queens, and they can't be stopped. They can say and do whatever they want to do. And even if, back in the day, people would complain to the athletic director or to the president of the university, nothing would happen. Like we seen Bob Knight throw a chair across the stands in the middle of a game. There were players that complained later on that he would throw basketballs at them as hard as he could in order for them to be able to catch the ball. And a lot of these things that used to go on back in the day are just not going on now. You know what I'm saying? Like these hazing rituals, they have, they've come to end. It's like to prove yourself, like you didn't work hard enough to prove yourself by getting a scholarship to play at this university. Like you didn't work hard enough to be a walk-on at this university. Now you have to work hard to be a walk-on. You have to work hard to get a scholarship, and then you got to go through these hazing rituals. So it's just time out. And we talked to before how hard it is now with men and women working together. You just can't say or do certain things like you used to do, or even joke around like you used to. The best thing is to just keep your comments to yourself and keep it as professional as possible, which is very hard not only working with women, but working women that you possibly are attracted to. It could be very hard. So we know that is very hard. And I've listened to some red pill things like Patrice O'Neal saying like, hey, I don't think men and women should work together, but when men and women do work together, so we have to keep these things to ourselves. And I've seen a Chicago documentary about Chicago basketball, Hoop Dreams, where the high school coach would ask the athlete, do you think you can play? And the athlete, even though he had got hurt, he messed his knee up. He was like, yeah, I think I can play. But when he, as an adult, he's like, man, I was a kid. Of course I'm going to say, I think I can play. So we see now what a lot of coaches telling athletes to still play through injuries or giving them the decision instead of sitting them down. It being an issue now, like with the baseball coach at Northwestern. So a lot of things you just can't do. You can't make players play through injury, and you can't say or do things or haze kids like things did in the past. These things are just not allowed anymore. So again, what I'm saying, I don't know what's the latest with going on at Northwestern University. I do know the next thing possibly coming up is that Pat Fitzgerald will file a lawsuit to try to get the remaining $40 million owed to him through Northwestern. I'm not sure how much the university owes the baseball coach on his contract, but Pat Fitzgerald may have a chance to win this lawsuit because he was suspended for 2 weeks and then fired. So because he was suspended for 2 weeks without pay, he may be able to win the lawsuit in order to get the $40 million that's owed to him. And we will see what's going to happen with the athletic director. Like I said, it's alleged that he may be let go as well, but we just don't know. But again, this is Nathaniel Swopes of Swope Setter signing out, and you all have a good one.